In delivering the ANC's January 8th statement yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa emphasized the need for a basic income grant. This comes as the 350 Rand COVID-19 Relief of Distress grant is due to come to an end in March. The NEC says there's need for support. In the statement, the President says, and I quote, "The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated our already precarious economic position. Around 1.5 million jobs have been lost since the start of the pandemic, and unemployment is at its highest ever." Let's look at this further with the Director for Centre for Economic Development and Transformation, Duma Gqubule. Duma, thank you so much for your time. This call has been in the public domain for quite some time to have a basic income grant, and that panel of experts that also made the recommendation as well, saying that there should be an approach to phase this over a period of a few years. Can the economy afford this?
I think the question we should be asking is, can the country not afford to do this? First thing I have to say is that there are different ways of looking at the affordability issue. We should be asking the question is, how much stimulus will this basic income grant cause into the economy? So the people do not keep the money under the mattress. They spend it in communities in Soweto, in Khayelitsha, and in Tanzania, and Tembisa. So it will have a multiplier effect on local economies. And the research has shown, for example, in Kenya, that the majority of the beneficiaries of the basic income grant were people who didn't get it in the local communities. So I just want to say that in South Africa, I'm releasing a report quite soon. My proposal is that we should have a basic income grant for adults aged 18 to 59 and also extend it to children who currently get the child support grant. This will cost 360 billion rands over 3 years implementation. It would start at the food poverty line of 624. The upper poverty, the lower poverty line of 890 in the second year, and the upper poverty line of 1,300 in the third year. And it sounds like a lot of money, but we should also bear in mind that it stimulates the economy. I believe it could grow the economy by 4.5% a year during the period of its implementation. It could create between 1.9 and 3.7 million jobs. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it only accounts for about 1.8% of gross domestic product over the 3-year implementation period. And then the next thing I want to say is that a lot of the money that the government spends comes back to the government eventually. So the way I've modeled it is that the government would get VAT first, number one. Number two, there would be a clawback from people who are employed. And then number three, then there would be also the additional tax revenues due to the stimulus effect. So according to my calculations, about 2/3 of the money would come back to the government. So we should look at the net cost as opposed to the gross cost. So there are many ways of looking at this affordability issue. And the question that I ask that we should be asking is, how much will it stimulate the economy?
And Duma, talking about, the stimulus into the economy, the World Bank has recommended that this basic income grant take the form of a job seekers grant, which is targeting the unemployment. And it says that a job seekers grant set at 350 Rand a month could cost around 16.2 billion Rand a year. I wonder how much of assistance will this go towards assisting those who are unemployed, because we see just the difficulties that they even have to, go through when they have to print CVs, access internet, etc.
You see, we must also be careful not to have too small a stimulus, because we're concerned about issues of affordability. Because 16 billion Rand does not stimulate the economy in any way, and it doesn't help the beneficiaries in any way. So I looked at two scenarios where we just give it to adults, 18 to 59, and the stimulus was only 1.1% of GDP. So I decided that that was not enough. So let us also extend it to children who get the child support grant, and I believe that that would provide a much larger stimulus to the economy. So I think that this is the debate we should be having as a country. We are now an unviable society. We have record unemployment of about 46.4% in South Africa, 46.6%, sorry, and it's heading towards 50%. And we saw at the ANC statement yesterday that the ANC has ran out of ideas. They did a 36-page statement, said nothing about how to address this economic crisis. And all they did was call for a social compact. However, 4 years ago, that is what they called for. And I don't see how we can have a social compact if we don't address the macroeconomic policy framework. It will just be a waste of time.
All right, Duma, thank you so much for your insights there. And I do hope we do get a chance in the future to talk about your proposal, because it really does look like it could be, a contributing factor, especially towards, stimulating the economy. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That was Duma Gqubule. He is the founding director at the Center for Economic Development and Transformation.